A common opinion in the community in 12.12 is that Reserve is not what it used to be as far as loot goes. And while that may be true, if you're comparing it to the old glory days of Reserve when it first came out, it's my belief that Reserve can still be a consistent and, compared to some other maps, safe way to make a good amount of rubles. So I decided to put my theory to the test, and I recorded how many Reserve raids I could do in 3 hours, how much profit I gained from them, how many times I survived, and generally how long they took me. So today I'm going to cover all that in this video, and then you could make a decision for yourself if Reserve is still good for loot or not. So how I'm going to go about this is by splitting it into 2 different videos. The first video, this one, is going to be shorter, and it's going to just have the bare bones statistics for you guys to basically inform you of my experience and allow you to make your decision. And the second one is going to be a longer video showing one example of each of the different routes that I did, so that maybe if you want to try it for yourself, you can copy them and run them yourself. And for those of you that don't want to wait to get through the details, I will say that I do think that Reserve is still good for money. Not huge raids, but consistent money raids. So first off, in 3 hours I was able to do 12 raids, and out of those 12 raids I survived 9 of them. And I only died 3 times because I actually met 3 cheaters. Well, 2 blatant cheaters and then 1 guy that made me pretty sketched out, so I extracted with low profit. For the 9 raids that I did survive, I did them in 9 minutes, 7 minutes, 15 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 12 minutes, 9 minutes, 13 minutes, and 11 minutes. So dividing that up, it's about a 10-minute average per run if you do it as efficiently as possible, which is going to be hard if you don't know the map. But if you do, then doing 7 to 15-minute runs on average is entirely possible. And out of these 12 runs, besides the cheaters that are not even something I'm going to really consider in all these statistics, I only encountered 3 players based on my routes, and I was able to kill all of them, so I didn't die to any legit players. Now, as far as profit goes, I tried to start when I didn't really have that much loot in my fleet junk box or anything, so I didn't muddy the results with loot from other runs. But I started with 40 million, and then I died a couple times because of the cheaters, and I dropped down during the runs to 38 million. And when I sold everything, we ended up at about 43 million in the end. So based on that, we'll say we made about 5 million rubles in profit. And one of the runs where I died to a legit player, actually, I forgot about that. One guy did actually kill me legit. I had a military power filter on me, which would have gone for an extra 900,000 rubles. So RIP. But basically, if we break this down, then every hour is about 1.5 million rubles, which isn't bad, but considering that if you do the route properly, it's almost 0 risk or very, very low risk, I consider that pretty good. It's a nice little relaxing getaway from the hardcore sweat maps, and I'm just a fan of Reserve in general, but I think it's totally reasonable to be able to make a living running Reserve as pretty much your main map. A lot of the loot that we got was pretty mid-tier. I didn't really find any high-tier items besides the military power filter, but at the same time, I didn't really push myself to go into the high-tier loot areas. I mainly focused on looting the hermetic cages, looting RBST, and then extracting. And if I spawned at Dome, then I would typically do my starting from Dome down to D2 loot run, which is very safe, but isn't always consistently big-ticket item profitable. But my belief is when you're doing these loot runs, you want to prioritize looting and getting out. And if you were to do a PvP oriented loot run, then I would contest the high traffic areas. But this was just to see how safe you could make a run and how safely and easily you can make money if you were just focusing on purely looting and completing a run. But alright, that's gonna sum it up there. Stay tuned for part 2 if you guys want to see the loot runs and the routes that I used. Otherwise, if you have any questions about this, go ahead and post them in the comments and I'll get around to answering them. Not sure if I missed anything, but I'd happy to answer any questions you may have. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.